It's working. All right, 6.7, the distributive property. We're on page 288. All right, so the distributive property, we spend a whole section, like I was saying, we spend a whole section on it because it is probably the most important of the number properties. So when we're writing an equivalent expression, that's one of it's one of the most important properties that we're going to learn, and that's why we spend a whole section on it. So in the first example, we have the expression 4 times 3 plus 6. And we're asked to write an equivalent expression for 4 times 3 plus 6. Well, what it's saying is I'm going to take the number on the outside of the parentheses and multiply it by every term inside the parentheses. And then I'm going to rewrite it. So I'm going to rewrite it 4 times 3 and 4 times 6. But I need an operation in between them. Is it going to be a plus sign or a minus sign? Minus. It's going to be a plus sign. And why? Here's why. Because in my original problem, is 4 positive or negative? It's positive, so that means it's positive in my equivalent expression too. So 4 times 3 plus 4 times 6, that's my equivalent expression. Now you're going to solve both of them, and if your answers match up, you know that you've done it right. So what's 4 times 3? 12. What's 4 times 6? 24. What's 12 plus 24? 36. All right, now let's go back up to the first one. What's 3 plus 6? 9. What's 4 times 9? 36. So since I got the same answer for both, I know that I wrote my equivalent expression correctly. And that's how I would solve it. All right. 6 times 3 plus 4. Write an equivalent expression and solve. Okay, so that's the answer, but what's my equivalent expression? 6 times 3 plus 6 times 4. And then, yes, my answer is 42 for both. All right, now, let's see. Now let's deal with what if some of these are negatives? What if I do have some negatives mixed in here? So what if I had negative 4 times 5 plus 8, and I had to write an equivalent expression for that? Well, I need to make sure that I keep my negative. 4 is negative. So when I write my equivalent expression, it's going to be negative 4 times 5 plus or minus? Minus 4 times 8. Why minus 4? Because 4 is negative in my original expression, and I have to keep it negative. Now I can solve both of them to make sure that my answers match up. Well, what's negative 4 times 5?
1.
Negative 20. What's negative 4 times 8? Negative 32. Let's go up to the top one. What's 5 plus 8? 13. Okay, and what's negative 4 times 13? Negative 52. So they match up. Negative 52 on both. Got it? No. All right, so now I want you to try to write an equivalent expression for this one. Because 3 is negative in the original expression. Oh, guys, come on. Negative and a minus sign is the same thing, okay? Remember, we talked about that earlier in this chapter. A negative and a minus is the same thing. So now what's the answer? What's the answer? Stop talking.
188.
It's going to be 188 on both. Now, you can't use your calculators. That's about as complicated as it'll get, though, number-wise, okay? 188 is the answer. Who got that right? Okay, so you catching on? Good, good. All right, so it's just a little bit more of this. We're still working these problems. All right, so now, what if we went the other way, though? What if it's already split up, and now I have to write an equivalent expression. I have to pull it back together. Here's how I do it. I look at the terms, and I say, okay, which one is my common term? What's my common term between the two? What's my common number?
7.
It's 7. Okay, so I pull the 7 out, and what am I left with? Whatever I'm left with is what I write inside the parentheses. 9 plus 5 or minus 5? Plus 5. And now I can solve both. Okay? 9 plus 5 is 14. 7 times 14 is 98, not 91. I'll fix it in a sec. All right, and both of them are 98, so I know it checks out. All right, so I can work it both ways. Again, 2 steps on your quiz and your test. It's going to be 2 steps. The first step, write an equivalent expression. The second step, tell me what the answer is. Solve it. You think you can do one of these?
Yeah.
All right, let's work it. Okay, 3 times 11 minus 3 times 4. Now that minus, don't forget about that. That's going to go somewhere in your equivalent expression. Try to work this out. It'll be 3 times 11 plus or minus 4. Minus. Why minus? Because the subtraction sign, it's got to go somewhere. I can't just drop it off. And now I can solve both of them. 33 minus 12 is 21, and 3 times 7 is 21. So I solved both. Did you get it?
Yeah. I got 18.
Okay.
I got negative by the whole number.
I don't know. I don't really know any other way to do it.
I put the negative by the 1 on the outside of the parentheses.
Did you make 11 negative?
11 negative.
Well, yeah, because don't do that. Don't pull the negative out, because then it makes it a lot more complicated. Okay, so leave the negative in, but just realize that you've got to leave that inside your parentheses when you rewrite it. Okay, all right, let's do another one. All right, again, what's your common term? So pull that out. What's left inside the parentheses, and then go ahead and solve. Okay, so 6 times, what stays inside the parentheses? 1/7 plus 6/7. And what's 6 times 1? 6. Now, when you solve this one, realize that you have to multiply first. What is 6 times 1/7? What's 6 times 1/7? 6 over 7. Remember, because that's 6 over 1. So that's going to be 6/7. Sorry, hold on. That's going to be 6/7. And then what is 6 times 6 over 7? What's 6 times 6? 36 over 7. So that equals 42 over 7, which is 6. Now, if that confuses you, just solve this first one down here. Okay? Just add the fractions together. You have, I think, one of these on your, or 2 of them on your homework tonight. So just add the fractions together and solve that way. Okay? That's fine. That's fine. All right, we're going to do one more. All right, in example 3, I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you a scenario. Okay, it's a talent show scenario. We're going to figure out how we can use the distributive property to write an expression and solve. All right, so let's say that you're participating in a talent show. You have 3 minutes to set up whatever you're doing for your talent. You have 3 minutes to set it up on stage. 3 minutes. Then you have 2 minutes to tell the crowd what you're going to be doing. Are you going to be singing, doing a magic trick? What is it? Then you have 5 minutes to actually do your act. All right? So if 20 people are performing, you listening? 20 people are performing, write an expression using the distributive property and tell me how long the talent show will last. All right, I'm going to say it again. 3 minutes to set up. 2 minutes to explain what you're going to do, 5 minutes to perform. There's 20 people total. How long is the talent show? All right, so write an expression and then solve. Let's see who can do it. What did you write for the expression? Anybody have an idea? Bruce?
I did 20 times, I did 20 times 5 plus 3 plus 2.
Perfect. 20. And I ordered in a different, or I added in a different order, but does that matter? Okay, because I can add in any order. So there's my expression. I need to add all those parts of my act together. How long is that? And then multiply it by how many people are performing. And how long is it? 200 minutes. Now, if you got 3 hours and 20 minutes, if you got the answer, but you did not get the expression, you're not going to get full credit. You have to be able to write an expression using the distributive property. Okay? If you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 6.7.